Call the meeting to order.
Freeholder Bergen.
Here.
Freeholder Carter.
Here.
Freeholder Estrada.
Present.
Freeholder Garrettson.
Here.
Freeholder Hudak.
Here.
Freeholder Jallo.
Here.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Present.
Vice Chairman Kowalski.
Here.
And Chairman Granados.
Here.
Chairman, you have 9 freeholders present.
Clerk of the board, please lead us in the prayer and salute to the flag.
Humbly we ask God to give her peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his spirit on all who work for justice and peace. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk of the board, please read the statement of compliance with Open Public Meetings Act.
The chair wishes to announce that pursuant to the requirements of New Jersey statutes annotated Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 10 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union has been given by mailing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2018, along with periodic changes necessitated by circumstances, to the newspapers circulating within the County of Union who are designated to receive such notice, and by posting the annual meeting schedule for the year 2018 in the Administration Building, and further by filing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2018 with the Office of the County Clerk.
Thank you very much. May I have a motion to approve the communications?
So moved, Chairman.
Second.
Motion was made by Freeholder Mirabella, seconded by Freeholder Carter. Clerk of the board, please call the roll.
Freeholder Bergen.
Yes.
Freeholder Carter.
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada.
Yes.
Freeholder Garrettson.
Yes.
Freeholder Hudak.
Aye.
Freeholder Jallo.
Aye.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Kowalski.
Yes.
Chairman Granados.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 9 votes in the affirmative.
Thank you very much. Next order of business is to consider an ordinance for adoption. Clerk of the board, please read the ordinance by title.
Ordinance number 793-2018, an ordinance to amend the laws of Union County Administrative Code and policies and general legislation by adopting the 2018 Department of Parks and Recreation fees for recreational facilities.
Thank you very much. This meeting is open to the public for the purpose of commenting on ordinance number 793-2018 only. Kindly state your name and town of residence for the record and adhere to the 5-minute time limit.
Good evening, Chair Granados, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson Garwood. Obviously, unless maybe you can confirm, I mean, are any fees being decreased, or they're all going up? And I guess just an overview of what we're looking at, of what fees are being increased. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Director Zuber?
Mr. Chair, the fees for the Warrenacre Sports Center are new fees, and they're for use of turf, which we've never had in the past. And the fees for golf are solely for veterans programs that we have and are going down.
Thank you very much, Director. Anyone else from the public? Seeing no one else, I'll formally close this portion of the meeting. At this time, I'd like to ask Fiscal Chairman Freeholder Bergen to please move the ordinance for adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I move ordinance 793-2018 for final reading and authorize the clerk of the board to advertise same in accordance with the law.
I'll second.
Thank you very much. Motion was made by Freeholder Bergen, and second was made by Vice Chair Kowalski. Clerk of the board, please call the roll.
Freeholder Bergen.
Yes.
Freeholder Carter.
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada.
No, and I will have some comments later on.
Freeholder Garrettson.
Yes.
Freeholder Hudak.
Aye.
Freeholder Jallo.
Aye.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Kowalski.
Yes.
And Chairman Granados.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 8 votes in the affirmative with 1 vote in the negative.
Thank you very much. The meeting is now open to the public for the purpose of commenting on resolutions being offered for adoption only. Kindly state your name and town of residence for the record and the resolution to which you're referring to, and adhere to the 5-minute time limit.
Good evening, Chair Granados, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson Garwood. Page 2, number 278, it's a county matching of $300,000 for a total of $600,000. I appreciate the director's explaining what it is, and even the freeholders asking that question. But the money is coming out of New Jersey Transit. Is that what it is? I'm confused on that, only because New Jersey Transit seems to be seriously underfunded. I was just wondering where that $300,000 is coming from. I understand where it's coming from for the county match, of course. It's coming from all of our pockets. Page 3. On number 286, which I appreciate the freeholders again asking that question. That is a lot of people affected and something like over 700 children, and it is serious, and I appreciate at least looking out for them. The question there is, what about food? How does the feeding of these people take place? Next one, 287. The lieutenant was up here, so I'm going to ask a question to him up here again. The specs, forensics, upgrade, light source. I'm just wondering, you know, I watch NCIS and that, and I'm just wondering, is this device, the high powerful device, is that able to actually read background print when it's printed over with later print? You know, you're able to pull that background print out. So maybe if you could just explain that one. The 289. Yeah, $300,000, 24 months. I'm just wondering, I mean, what happens? I mean, obviously there's a lot of accidents. That's what it seems like. And I wonder if does anybody get punished? I mean, if it's at their fault or something, you know, it seems like we got a bunch of bumper cars going on here in our pool. Page 4. Yeah, number 295. Again, you know, you guys are asking questions about that. I appreciate Freeholder Estrada trying to get in-depth information. The one thing is, what exactly? I need an example of what may be over and above what this $298,000 to net is going to be. Only because I remember the family court came up, and Netta was getting something like $900,000, and suddenly there's a change order, and he got 3 times that amount for $2,700,000. That was a lot of money. That was well over and above what normal change orders would be, and nobody has to explain that one. But this causes serious concern when costs go way over what it is. So I mean, maybe just some examples, and also Netta donated to the freeholders and their cronies $77,000 in 4 years. The one right below, 296, Neglia, he's getting another 12 grand. You know, he donated $19,000 to the freeholders and their cronies in 4 years also. That was a comment. And just the last one is an interesting one. 307 on page 5, proclaiming April 10th as Equal Pay Day. Could somebody just explain what that is? Is it only for the people that have equal pay? I don't understand what that is. So if somebody could just explain that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In reference to number 278, yes, the funding does come from NJ Transit.
Actually, it's federal money.
Yeah, federal money.
Through
NJ Transit.
NJTPA, yes.
Okay. For number 286, what they do is provide vouchers for food for individuals who will attend our facilities during Code Blue. For reference to number 287, Under Sheriff Cologne.
He's in trouble.
No, he's not. He got this. He got this.
To address the gentleman from Garwood, I'm glad that he watches NCIS. But as an investigator, a detective, that's all fake. I'm sorry, but 20 years ago, people didn't even know what DNA was. And now we're solving crimes with DNA and latent fingerprints and blood splatter and shoe prints and tire prints. I'm assuming that this, listen, I don't have all the information on this LED light fixture, but I can tell you right now that the technology that they're coming out with now, in reference to CSU or CSI, the people that are making these things are scientists. So I honestly, can it detect a fingerprint over another fingerprint? It could probably decipher the two different ones. And it all depends on whether you're logged in or not. If you've ever been fingerprinted. Will it detect that? Yes, I'll say it will.
Thank you very much, Undersheriff. In reference to equal pay, well, first off, we all believe everyone should have equal pay. I know Vice Chair Kowalski would like to elaborate.
Oh, thank you, Chairman. Yes. This being Women's History Month, we're extending a little bit into April with the Equal Pay Day. Women, on the average, earn 79 cents to every dollar that men make, and for women of color, it's less than that. And this is our giving our support to the idea that everyone who performs an equal task should get equal pay.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. Any other questions from the public?
Nancy Puvar, Plainfield. I have a question about 218-311 on page 5 about supporting Trinitas to be designated a Trauma 2 level center. Will this necessitate a hearing before the State Health Planning Board? Because I've been very much involved with the healthcare desert created by the closure of Muhlenberg Hospital and attended numerous order to show causes and the merger between Hackensack and JFK. But I'm not against this. I just am, I just want to know what the public can do and if this has to go before the State Health Planning Board so that we'll be notified that maybe we can go down and support it. Thank you.
If I may, the whole issue is that apparently the state of New Jersey, the Department of Health, has actually went out and requested a request for proposals of individuals who will be willing in Union County to operate one of the trauma centers. And Trinitas has applied. They had applied previously, and they, over the last 4 years, have been making changes in their operation, including the extension of the emergency room and everything else, to ensure that they qualified for this process. So this is, again, they're going, the state came out with a request for proposal. They are meeting that request for proposal, and at the same time, they're getting people all kinds of letters of support. And we're one of those individual bodies who feels that we should have it closer to home. We don't need to go far away just to have this thing done when we have probably the expertise here as well. But I'm sure part of the process will include some kind of a public hearing.
Ma'am, also what we can do is get you the information for the Trinitas Hospital contact individual. So if you would like to write letters of support also, you're more than welcome to. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to ask questions? Seeing no one else, I'll formally close this portion of the meeting. May I have a motion to adopt resolutions 2018-276 through 2018-312?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Freeholder Carter, seconded by Vice Chair Kowalski. Clerk of the Board, please call the roll.
Freeholder Bergen.
Abstain on resolution 2018-286. Yes to the remaining resolutions.
Freeholder Carter.
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada.
Yes.
Freeholder Garrettson.
Yes.
Freeholder Hudak.
Aye.
Freeholder Jallo.
Aye.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Kowalski.
Yes.
And Chairman Granados.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 9 votes in the affirmative, with the exception of Resolution 2018-286, where you have 8 votes in the affirmative and 1 abstention.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to open the meeting to the public for the purpose of commenting on any governmental issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the county. Kindly state your name and town of residence for the record and adhere to the 5-minute time limit.
Nancy Puvar, Plainfield. A couple of items. First of all, I live near Greenbrook Park, and it was devastated during Hurricane Quinn, Nor'easter Quinn. It's absolutely devastated. Driving over here, it's a completely different look than what's happened in Plainfield, North Plainfield, not that that's our county, or even Somerset County. but Greenbrook Park is a disaster. There are trees hanging over Myrtle Avenue. One tree was taken down prior to the storm because I made a phone call, but there are more trees that are leaning. There's branches all over the place. There are things hanging. You just need to make sure that that gets looked at and cleaned up, because that park is heavily used, and it's a public safety hazard, okay? Number two is during Hurricane, I call it a hurricane, it basically was, Nor'easter Quinn, a lot of wires came down. A wire came down in my property, and it turns out I went to the Plainfield City Council. I also went to the Land Use Board, Planning Board of the City of Plainfield. What people don't understand, and I don't know what power you have as the county, but a lot of these wires are wires from the cable companies that a lot of us get rid of, the service provider, and those are the wires that are hanging down. Comcast wires, Verizon wires, Optimum wires. When you cancel a utility service such as that, they don't come back and take down your wires. I had to make a complaint to the Board of Public Utilities to get the wire taken off of my property, because I didn't put it up. They came within 2 days and they took it down. However, I think the city of Plainfield is now looking into an ordinance. Same with the satellite dishes. We're going to have these wires hanging for months and maybe years. So I know there's probably wires hanging over county roads, but a lot of them aren't our fault, but something has to be done to make these corporations come back and take down the wires once you eliminate the service. The other thing I wanted to talk about was Trinitas. I'm glad to hear that there was an RFP. Plainfield is a healthcare desert. I have participated in 3 orders of show cause. I participated in the merger order to show cause that occurred in New Brunswick. I don't know what's going to happen at Muhlenberg, okay? I know that it's under redevelopment. However, there's no guarantee in that merger document that I saw in the State Attorney General's office that that SED has to remain. It could be removed at any time. I'm very concerned because of the lack of health care in the city. We are a donut hole in that. And I did the research prior to this meeting. There are 3 level 1 trauma centers in the state, and there's only 7 trauma level 2s. The closest one is Morristown, or we can go to New Brunswick has one. They're very far away, so I'm glad to hear that Trinitas stepped up. But, you know, it's a long drive. It took me like over half an hour to get to get here tonight, okay? So I'm very concerned because there is a donut hole in Plainfield, and I appreciate what you're trying to do. And I hope that that's going to be part of our disaster recovery plan, because Muhlenberg used to serve as a part of the disaster recovery plan, and none of us has seen what the disaster recovery plan is so far. So if the county has one, please let me know where I can get a copy, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just in reference to Greenbrook Park, Freeholder Carter has already been in conversations with County Manager Ed Oatman and Director of Parks Ron Zuber in making sure they're working on a plan that gets it cleared up as quickly as possible. So Freeholder Carter's already been working on that. No, of course. Any other members of the public would like to make any comments?
Good evening, Chair Granados, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson Garwood. Just revisiting the Resolution 295. That was about NETA getting almost $300,000 in expense for the pool for design and construction management. And again, thank you very much, Freeholder Estrada, for trying to delve into what that is about. This is a pool with some outbuildings. I mean, I don't see anything out of the ordinary why it would be handled that way. There should have been an RFP, and that's it. So then I asked, I'd like to know an example of why it may go over, because that's what it sounded like from Director Zuber saying there's a possibility. So, I mean, I'd like to know at least an answer to that, if somebody could explain it. Thank you very much for the grant for the level the playing field. Garwood got $25,000. We're redoing Hartford Park, and it's definitely needed. We're a little town, and we have a lack of funding over there. So So, but thank you very much, for all the towns, in fact, to the Freeholder Board. The budget hearings, I went to 2 out of 3. I'm sorry I missed the first one, but anyway, of course I've been going to them over the years, and they are, I guess, a learning experience, let's call them. So, but one thing I noticed as the numbers were being shown on the screen, there was the budget for 2017, then there was the expenditures for 2017, and then there was the budget for 2018. And I'll tell you, I'm scratching my head. Most of the numbers I saw, and nearly all of them, it was like the expenditures for 2017 versus the budget for 2017. The expenditures are like 5, 10, even 12% below what the budget was, and yet the new budget is even higher than the 2017 budget, which means that we're looking at an increase of 5, 10, 12% plus expenditures, to be expended in the budget line items. That, I'm scratching my head. I've been talking about how much money is being buried into this budget that shouldn't be. I don't know if you want to answer something like that, but that's a comment. Something came up recently. I understand there's a lawsuit out there that Freeholder Hudak, who works for Keene, voted on Ed Oatman's appointment, and that he's a trustee of Keene, and therefore there's a conflict of interest. I just maybe like some overview from Attorney Barry, possibly through you, Chairman Granados, as to exactly what went on there, because I'll tell you, you guys play fast and loose with a lot of the regulations and rules around here. I mean, not to harp on it, but, County Manager Oatman's not even from the county. And I recommended on National Women's Day, I actually recommended that Amy Wagner be the county manager, and maybe Ed Oatman be the deputy county manager. I don't know, I guess that didn't fly too much. I gave up on Mr. Yeska, of course. But anyway, I'd really like to know about this lawsuit. I mean, I know you can't talk about lawsuits, but I'd like to hear some kind of overview about it. And another question actually comes up is Freeholder Jala. From what I understand, he does not have the line of the regular Democrats. And that perplexes me, because I'll tell you, I've been coming to these meetings when Freeholder Jala has been here, and he was actually the finance chair one year, and I actually complimented him as a finance chair. So to me, versus all you other guys, I don't see what the problem is with him.
Mr. Patterson, this is only reference to governmental issues, not political issues. So please stick
Why
with
would that
governmental
be
issues.
political? I'm just saying, how come he's
You're
not
mentioning the
up for
line,
election?
et cetera, like that. This is governmental issues that affect the residents of Union
Well, this
County.
is a governmental issue. Freeholder Jala obviously
Continue on
does
with any governmental issue,
business.
Mr. Patterson.
Freeholder Jala does governmental business. And I'm just wondering why, after November, he won't be doing governmental business. What did he do wrong? What did he do wrong? That's what I'm asking. Maybe Freeholder Jala can tell us.
You're good. Thank you very much, Mr. Patterson. Your time's up.
You're quite welcome here for being here.
I appreciate it. In reference to the budgets, those budget presentations were presented to the Freeholder Board, in which the Finance Committee, along with the other members of the Freeholder Board, will be looking at closely and making sure that we can find any additional cuts that can be made to lower down the budget requests from our departments throughout the County of Union. Any other members of the public would like to speak on any issue? Seeing no one else, before we close that portion of the meeting, I'd like to ask for Freeholder reports, starting with Freeholder Garrettson.
Sure. Good evening, and thank you very much. I'm very pleased to highlight the efforts of the Freeholder Board in recognizing, Dr. Martin Luther King's, the anniversary of his assassination. The King Center is leading the nation and world in commemorating the 50th anniversaries of both Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination and the founding of the King Center. According to his daughter, Dr. Bernice A. King, she is the CEO of the King Center, and youngest daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King and King Center founder, Coretta Scott King, in 2018, this will be a reflective yet very powerful, relevant year for the King Center. It also promises to be momentous for those who join the center, and not only remembering her father and celebrating her mother's legacy as the founder of the center, but also uniting with us in educating, equipping, and empowering humanity to move forward. Both her parents deposited a wealth of wisdom in the form of writings, speeches, and demonstrations on this earth. The 2018 50th anniversary commemorations will highlight what was deposited while also inspiring and informing us about how to build the beloved community by cultivating what they left to us. The next topic I would like to share is about Earth Day. And Earth Day this year, scientists grow more concerned about our ability to stop or even to reduce the impacts of global climate change. Nevertheless, here in Union County, there is hope for the future. Many Union County residents are deeply engaged in environmental actions, and they respond enthusiastically when they see a chance to pitch in. With that in mind, I'd like to alert our residents to a new online discount program offered through our Bureau of Recycling. It provides for 50% of the retail prices of rain barrels and composite bins, equipment that helps our gardening communities conserve water and also convert kitchen scraps into healthy soil. So again, I just want to highlight the discount is being offered now through Earth Day, which falls on Sunday, April 22nd, and it will continue until 5 p.m. on April 23rd. The second, I'd like to again highlight are the free trees for schools that are provided by our board to plan for Arbor Day and also Earth Day projects that can help students learn about the importance of trees in our environment. And finally, as we conclude or look into the end of March, we'll launch a full schedule of recycling events for electronics, personal papers, hazardous household waste, and even more. That's my report for today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Freeholder Garrettson. Freeholder Bergen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to briefly also, as the fiscal chairman, address Mr. Patterson's question about the budget, it's a good question. Why sometimes the actual expenditures below the budget amount, and then this year we're still increasing it. It has nothing to do with hiding money, as Mr. Patterson implies, but it's actually prudent fiscal planning. Many of the parts of our budget cannot be accurately predicted today for where they'll be some 8 or 9 months from now at the end of the year. So it may be that, for instance, with buying salt to put on our roads, 2017 was a relatively mild year. I don't know that it was, but it could have been. And so we wouldn't have spent as much on salt as we had budgeted. Nonetheless, in 2018, we have to be prepared for a number of storms in the late winter, early spring. And then again, come December, November, there could be more storms and the need for salt. And we can't just say we didn't spend it last year, so we don't need it this year. So we do look carefully at those numbers, but very often the fact that in one year an item wasn't spent up to its limit doesn't mean that that's a bottom line for the following year. But thank you for that question. If anyone looked closely at the agenda tonight, you'll see that I sponsored a resolution from this board recognizing 2 members of the Springfield Fire Department for their role in bringing a new life into this world. On Tuesday morning, just a couple days ago, the Springfield Fire Department was dispatched to Route 78 to answer a report of a woman in labor on the side of the interstate. She was trying to get to Morristown Medical Center in the middle of rush hour. When Captain Mastroni and Chief Palumbo got there, it was very clear that she was not going to make it to the hospital on time. So the 2 of them did assist in the birth, which took place right there in the car. During that, they had to free the baby's neck, which was entangled in the umbilical cord. But thankfully, the baby arrived safely, and the mother and baby were transported by ambulance up to Morristown Medical Center. So I do want to express its board's congratulations to the new mother and thank the first responders in Springfield for having done such a good job in helping out. And I will have the honor of presenting that resolution to them at a Springfield Township Committee meeting in a couple of weeks. I also want to mention another matter, which is one that I've talked about over the last couple months, and that is the Gateway Project, which has had an up and down couple of weeks. As I've spoken about before, it appears that President Trump, for political purposes, I would suggest, wants to kill that project. Fortunately, we just found out that with bipartisan support, the congressional budget bill that's likely to pass includes some $541 million for this project. It's just a start, but it's a good start on the funding for this project. As I've said in the past, this is not a New Jersey issue. It's not a New York issue. It's a regional and even a national economic issue. The Gateway project, which really includes 8 different projects, one of which is the Portal Bridge across the Hackensack River, just in the last week or maybe 10 days, that was stuck open during rush hour for about an hour and a half and wreaks havoc. That bridge is over 100 years old. So part of the project is to replace that bridge. Of course, everybody is aware that it also includes building 2 new rail tunnels under the Hudson River between New Jersey and New York City. Those rail tunnels, though yes, they're used by commuters from New Jersey and New York, they are also a major passageway for trains up and down the eastern seaboard. And in fact, the numbers I see say that about 1/5 of the United States gross domestic product is dependent upon those rail tunnels. So it's a good thing that we have bipartisan congressional support to put the money into that. Vice Chairman Kowalski, Freeholder Estrada, and I are all focusing on this issue, but this entire board, I know, will continue to press our federal legislators to find the funding for this absolutely critical project. I have no doubt, and as most people do, that this is the right thing to do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Freeholder Bergen. Freeholder Carter.
Thank you, Chairman. I had the pleasure of attending the 2018 Women of Excellence Award last Friday evening. The Women of Excellence Award recognizes women throughout Union County who have distinguished themselves with outstanding achievements in the fields of arts, humanities, business, community service, education, government, law, healthcare, and women's advocacy. This is a noteworthy event, especially during Women's History Month, and I would like to acknowledge the recipients of the 2018 Women of Excellence Awards. Mathalia Narayan, Anatha Krishnan from New Providence, Dr. Ludovian Archibald, I had the Archibald right all the time, from Elizabeth, Brooke Campbell from Cranford, Maria Carvalho from Elizabeth, Councilwoman Rose Checchio from Scotch Plains, Candace Mayers from Linden, Marguerite Madero from Roselle Park, Donna Pizzula from Summit, Patricia Roman from Clark, along with Margaret Salisbury from Union. Once again, I want to congratulate the women for their leadership, their success, and the contributions in their give back to our community. The whole community is uplifted when we recognize the skills and talents among women who strengthen the fabric of our lives. So thank you. I also wanted to acknowledge that we had our UC STEP kickoff last week, in which we had representatives from our high schools come and get all the materials for them to go out and do a county-wide service project, which is Branches Against Bullying. So you will be seeing over the next couple of months several of our students advocating to stamp out bullying, to really uplift sometimes those individuals who feel that they don't have a voice and don't know where to go, and giving them ideas and letting them understand that they do have help with them. They're providing them with resources, and they really are taking this to a new level to make sure that all of our youth are heard and that those that are doing injustice to others are held accountable. So I applaud our youth throughout the county, and I look forward to them working on this project over the next couple of months. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Freeholder Carter. Freeholder Estrada.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of comments. I may exceed my 5 minutes, but I will use some of my bank time. Please be understanding. The number one is the vote where I voted no in terms of the ordinance that we voted on today about the the adopting of the park fees. Over the last few years, I've been advocating on behalf of doing something in reference to the regular fees of golfing. And the reason for this is because often we speak about golf operations and how much money does it generate, but really don't take into account the cost of financing the bonds for the improvements that we have made in terms of the clubhouses, not only the one at Galloping Hill, but also the new one that we're building in Scotch Plain. So I've been advocating on behalf of that. I think to a certain degree, I believe that many of my colleagues or some of my colleagues agree with the issue, but for whatever reason, it wasn't addressed. Now, the issue that I've been giving as to why it wasn't addressed is because we may find ourselves that by increasing the fees, we may actually market ourselves out of the business. I don't totally agree with that statement, but the reality is that we have the premier golf course in Union County, and I truly believe that in speaking to many people who play golf, that in fact, that is probably, the fees could handle, and I'm not talking about specialized fees for seniors or kids or anything else, I'm just talking about the general fee that we utilize there, that we still need to look at it to see what we can do and find the ways that we can actually not continue to what I consider, and this is my opinion, subsidizing playing golf. That was number one. Number two, I had the opportunity on Saturday evening to attend the Portuguese Instruction and Social Club 96th anniversary. And I was joined by the Freeholder Chairman Granados. It is amazing to see an organization that has so much to do in terms of the Portuguese culture in our area celebrating its 96th birthday. We were honored to see someone there who joined the club in 1940, who is still around. So most of the beginning members are no longer with us, but I want to congratulate Jose Carlos Brito for this job that he has done as chair this year in terms of celebrating this particular birthday. I think we had a great time. It shows the commitment that there is from the Portuguese community in terms of all the community, as well as many of the events, including the parade that's forthcoming, that I'm sure that we will support and we'll have a great, great time. I want to take the time also to recognize the Department of Public Works and Emergency Management for the work they have done, not only in this last storm, but throughout all the storms and the challenges that they have, as well as Parks and Recreation, who has now the cleanup responsibility in terms of the park. And I do agree. I've walked to Warrenango the other day and noticed how many trees were unearthed, totally ripped off the ground in terms of the wind and the snow. So we have our work cut out for us. I had the opportunity on the 14th, as I believe Sergio Granados did, in terms of working with the Elizabeth Board of Education and the 9 or 7 high school buildings, where they actually took the time, and the intention was to walk out in terms of the, in support with the students in Florida. Of course, in Elizabeth, they did not walk out. They all went to a main auditorium, and there was all kinds of plans, including conversation that we had with students. I enjoyed it. They had very, very interesting questions, and how they see the issues that are happening. It all has to do with controlling the amount of weapons that are out there and what gets done. I've been told that Hudak and Garrison were at an older place. I am sure that many freeholders went all over the place. I'm talking to the ones that I know because I saw them. I'm sure you have the opportunity also to express your opinions.
Yes,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to include you in my next comment here. I had an opportunity on Saturday, that was early in the morning, to a Harambe breakfast. This is something that Freeholder Garrison and I attended, and this is the National Council of Negro Women, this is the 13th annual event. And I tell you, it's amazing the level of commitment by these women. Now, this happens to be the Elizabeth chapter. On a yearly basis, celebrate the Harambe. And I tell you, we should really call for Harambe a couple of times here. That's a very interesting word. And it is basically a recognition of the women's contribution, the Afro-American women in this area, and their commitment to the community that we live in. Going back to the Bowwitch Academy, where I attended, I don't know where Sergio ended up. Which school were you at?
Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson, but I'm sure he'll talk about it when his turn comes up. But it was extremely interesting, the amount of knowledge and commitment of these young people in terms of making a difference when it comes to the issues of gun violence. Interesting, New Jersey has what I consider one of the most stringent laws there is in terms of gun control, and we discussed the issue that how different it is in many parts of the country. Even in Las Vegas after the shooting, I had been in Las Vegas like a week after the shooting in Las Vegas, and week after that, they were already advertising for a gun show. I don't understand. It went through. I don't understand. But my next item here is Code Blue. I know that the work that they have been doing in terms of we can always claim that this is what global warming is creating. I think this is a reality. We became one of the first county the first county in the country to offer Code Blue, and I know over the years we have been able to really help people not to be frozen out there in the street. Prior to Code Blue being instituted, we had over 2 years, 2 deaths of people who froze out in the environment. So, and that pretty much concludes my comments, I think.
You sure?
I may come back for a second.
Right.
I still have time in my bank.
I think you used it all up already.
No.
Thank you, Freeholder.
I have years of this stuff.
Freeholder, who that?
Thank you, Chairman. My comments will be brief, as I think Freeholder Estrada covered most of them. I, too, want to thank the Public Works Department, Office of Emergency Management, and the Parks Maintenance staff who, beyond their support in these recent storms, the work we know that they will be doing to make and bring the parks back to a better condition. Obviously, it's going to take some time. We appreciate the residents' patience in that regard. And I did want to express my gratitude to the 9th grade students at the Alexander Hamilton Academy in Elizabeth. I did get to speak with them during the walkout presentation, or the presentation of Louisville walkout. Again, as Freeholder Estrada mentioned, some very challenging questions, and the students in Elizabeth and Union County, I know there were walkouts in other communities, and I commend the educators and the administrators in those districts for working with those students so they could have the opportunity to express themselves. But obviously, the young people in this country are very confused, not confused, they're not confused, they are very concerned, and I was glad to be there, and I was heartened that while we're here in the county and we don't obviously regulate guns, beyond our space, that's the legislature's purview, the federal purview, they were not afraid to express their willingness to hold the adults who are in power in this country accountable, and that's a good thing. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you much, Freeholder. Freeholder Jallo?
Yes, Chairman. I want to add my commendment to the departments that handled these, third nor'easter? Is that fourth? I'm losing count. Didn't we have a microburst as well? Was that this year or last? Yeah. That's fantastic. You guys do an excellent job, and so congratulations to you. I had the opportunity today to attend a suicide awareness program. It was done in the form of a play at UC PAC. It was absolutely fantastic, and it was performed for middle school students. Some from Hillside were there, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there were students there from Westfield. I thought it was an excellent program, and this organization is creating programs, social programs like this, and plays to reach young people on issues that affect them. I had a conversation with the gentleman today who put it together, and we were talking about a program for gun violence and to help young people cope with the issues of that. I know a lot of the freeholders discussed places that they were this week, and there was one in Union as well that I attended. There's young people in our country are looking for places to speak, forums to speak in, and ways to express themselves. And I will be providing the Freeholder Board with more information about this program, because I think it might be something that's worthwhile that we may be able to support to help our young people in this county. So it's the end of my report for today. Next time. That's all. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder.
Thank you,
Freeholder Mirabella?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few things. The Freeholder Board is proud to join the county's Division of Aging and Disability Resource Connection and the Office of LGBTQ Services in a partnership with the organization Garden State Equality to offer a free training session for organizations serving older adults. The session is called Introduction to the Healthcare Needs of the LGBT Community. It will be held on Tuesday, April 3rd at the Warnanko Sports Center in Roselle. For the convenience of the participants, the course will be offered in the mornings from 10 to 12 and again in the afternoon from 2 to 4. We are eager to bring this informative session to Union County to help our local organizations gain a more thorough understanding of the needs of our older LGBTQ residents. This event is free, but pre-registration is required to attend. Please sign up at gardenstateequality.org. I was happy last week to join Freeholder Carter and Chairman Granados at the Woman Excellence Dinner. It was a great dinner. I see one of the commissioners in the audience, Jen Erdos, and I'm happy to attend that dinner every year. It was a wonderful honoring of deserving recipients from around our county. This Saturday, in conjunction with a lot of the walks that were, or walkouts that happened very well over the last week in honor of or in support of gun safety, there'll be 2 walks in Union County this Saturday. One in Union at the Burnett School and one in Westfield. I don't know where the one in Westfield is starting. Maybe Freeholder Kowalski knows more about that one, about supporting Moms Demand Action and gun safety and proper gun regulation. And I'll be participating. I'm sure many of my colleagues will be out there at one or the other of these events showing our support. And since this is the last meeting before the holiday season is upon us, I want to wish all residents a happy Passover and happy Easter. We don't have a meeting next week. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. County Council, Butler.
No comments this evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, County Manager. No comments, Chairman. Thank you very much. Vice Chair Kowalski.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, I'll just add on the March for Our Lives, which Freeholder Mirabelle mentioned, the Union branch and the one in Westfield. They both start at 10 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, and the one in Westfield is at the south side of the train station at South Avenue, and it ends at Mindawaskan Park, and there will be a rally following that, and the Union rally starts at the Burnett Middle School at 1000 Caldwell Avenue at 10 and ends at Union Township City Hall on Morris Avenue. So anyone who wants more information on these events can check Facebook, Union County March for Our Lives, and I also would like to just mention that these marches are being organized very much by students we've seen around the country. It's the students who are organizing, who are standing up and saying that it's not enough to give condolences and prayers, that we must take action to protect our children and everyone from gun violence. So I'm very, I have nothing but respect for the young people who are stepping up and taking action, and we on the Freeholder Board will do everything we can to support. Adding on to comments from Freeholder Bergen, I also want to thank all my colleagues for their support on advocating for the Gateway Project, which, as he said, is so vital for our region. And we all signed letters to all of our federal representatives, and so I especially want to thank Congressman Series and Senators Booker and Menendez for their constant advocacy for this vital project. They have been working towards it every day, and I know many of us will be until the entire project is done. Also, thanks to Parks Director Zuber, who oversees the Cultural and Heritage Affairs Office, and Kathy Kakoletris, the director, and all of the many staff and volunteers who participated in what I could only call a joyful couple of days of the Teen Arts Festival last week. Many of my colleagues attended, as well as the county manager and deputy county manager, and it was more than 5,000 students at Union County College, which graciously offers their space, and I understand there are a number of students who said, well, I want to go to Union County College. So it was a wonderful experience, I think, for the young people who perform and show their artwork and get the critiques and the feedback, and they get to see the work by other students. And so kudos to everyone who participated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. I know when we're speaking in reference to the Elizabeth Assemblies, I know Freeholder Garrettson spoke highly of the students from Jefferson Arts Academy and how receptive they were in not only providing information, but also receiving the information that you provided to them. So I know you want to give them a shout out for that.
Thank you.
And also to Edison Academy location, I visited and talking to students, in which we even talked about how in a 2014 NJ.com report, 80% of so-called crime guns recovered in New Jersey were traced to other states, 80%. So it does go back to what Freeholder Strada is saying, how our state is one of the more strict states when it comes to guns, but you have other states like Pennsylvania where they're transporting a lot of guns into New Jersey, and that's where a lot of the gun violence comes from, bringing guns in from other locations. In reference to level the playing field, I'd like to give everyone an update on the new grant program that will help our municipalities improve access to playgrounds for all children and their families, focusing on those with special needs. Every child should be able to enjoy a playground in or near their neighborhood regardless of their abilities. Inclusive, accessible playgrounds benefit everyone. They offer children the opportunity to play alongside one another and help to create a sense of community. And the ripple effect means that more families have a chance to enjoy the outdoors, meet people in their community, and spend time with their neighbors in an open public environment. The Union County Park System includes accessible playgrounds and accessible playground elements to each of our county parks. However, not every neighborhood has a county park nearby. Helping to bring the benefits of accessible playgrounds to every municipality in Union County will propel our county forward as a model for others throughout the state of New Jersey. When we launched Level the Playing Field last fall, we anticipated an enthusiastic response, and I'm happy to report that every single municipality in Union County out to anyone applied for this grant. I just want to thank also our Open Space Chairman, Al Mirabella, along with the members of the Open Space Committee, in making sure that we allocated this funding in a total of $500,000 that are being distributed amongst the 21 municipalities. Once all the projects are completed, Union County will be the first county in New Jersey to have an inclusive playground for every municipality within its borders. And based off our research, we may also be the first county in the United States with an inclusive playground within every municipality of our county, of their county. With this level of playing field, the Freeholder Board continues to deliver on the trust fund's promise on expanding and improving recreation opportunities for all our county residents. And I'd like to thank my colleagues on the Freeholder Board for their support of this initiative and making sure that we work together in making sure everyone has an equal playing ground. So thank you for that. So with that said, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.